Hey, let's give these moms a big I love you this morning, can we? Yes? So, hey, we're doing something a little different this morning. As you can see, we're doing a time of question and answer. My hope, our hope, Karen and I, our hope is that you will see a message through this today. So this is not like a wordless, not a pointless time this morning. I believe that you will hear a very strong message. So we're going to do a time of questions and answers, and then Karen and I, towards the end, we're going to be looking at a very powerful Old Testament story to kind of wrap things up. But I'm really excited to have these ladies here today. I'm glad to have my wife joining me. Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
I posted this morning, you did something that I could not do, gave me 3 beautiful daughters. Thank you very much.
I remind you that.
She does remind me of that. And helping us this morning, we have Kate, Carney, with her little sweetheart, Harper. Yes, give them a big I love you. And you met Trisha's husband earlier. If you're new or watching us for the first time, Jeremy, this is Trish, his wife, and his daughter, Danielle, their daughter, Danielle. In the back, we have our youth director, Missy Tharp, on your left in the back with her daughter, Mackenzie. And kind of holding each other because they're like in shock and awe this morning and fear. In the back, you have Stormy, who is with her mom, Brandy, who works in Brandy's one of our King's Kids teachers. So glad to have these ladies today. And so Karen is going to initiate just a few questions to kind of get the chit-chat going here this morning. But in just a moment, you're going to get to hear some of the diversity, and did this on purpose. Just different, all of these moms, these ladies, different backgrounds, different journeys, and different journeys to God. Every single one of them sitting here today has a different journey to God. And so I'm really excited for you to not only hear a little bit from them, but our hope today is that for every mom, whether you're here or watching us via live stream, our hope today is to minister to every mom in this place and watching us today. So let's give them, again, one more big I love you. And Karen, over to you.
So, Trish, you have the microphone, so I guess Brand, you guys can pass back and forth who's going to do what, but we asked you a couple questions ahead of time so you weren't too off guard, but what are some proud mom moments that you would like to share with us?
Okay, well, between Jeremy and I, we have 6 children, with Danielle being our youngest. And,
wow. Competition with the Staffords.
So we...
I always say that. Why? You're just the go-to, I guess. I mean, the Shearers are kind of in the same case, too, right? Aren't there, like, a bunch of you, too? Yeah, there are. Like, I'm sorry, like, talk.
So
okay.
there are many proud moments, I think, that we've had as parents, but the ones that stand out to me, Jeremy and I both have sons in the military, and watching them go through their training, their boot camp, there's something about when you have children that sacrifice and serve our country, there's just a special proudness that you have in your heart for them, and just watching them grow up, and so that's what.
That's good. Awesome. How about you, Kate? What are some proud mom moments that you have? You have little ones.
Yes, so for me, when I thought about it, proud moments, it's just, if you've had siblings, you know how easy it is to fight. So when I see them just love on each other and curled up in bed reading a book to each other and just being so kind and have big hearts, that's proud for me.
Those are good
sure.
moments. You have some good babies.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, Brandy, how about you? Share with us some proud mom moments you have with Stormy. Oh, yes, it is. Yep.
My proud moments are she doesn't give up. She's very hard-headed, and she'll give you a run for money. At the end of the day, she won't give up.
That's awesome.
That is.
Where did she learn that from? I'm thinking she might have learned it from her mama, but
That's good.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, and Missy, oh, you have your own mic. Good.
Yep.
You all do.
So I would probably have to say that when I see my kids facing adult situations in life and they handle it well, and that they handle it in a godly way, when they don't just blow up and spew out all of the things that they could, but instead they hold it in and they rein in their emotions and they have self-control and they give polite, correct answers instead of just off-the-cuff kind of stuff. And like Trish said, we could all sit here and probably name for each child what exactly we're proud of. But overall, I think that's what I'm most proud of, is that when each of them react in a godly way instead of in the way that the world would react.
Good stuff. Thank
Those
you.
are my most proud.
Mm-hmm.
And so girls, no, I'm kidding. You're all like, wait, we're not talking. We just agreed to sit. So,
I mean, we got Danielle in the front, so come on. I mean, right?
So, in being a mom, there's obviously the proud moments from when the little ones simply love each other and aren't beating each other up or picking on each other. And you have a boy and a girl, so
Yes.
I understand that because I grew up with brothers. And so, different from girls, it's a different kind of picking on, and there's a tendency for it to be a nonstop. So those are wonderful moments to when they just decide to choose to do what's right and don't give up. And to Trish's point, when your kids decide to do something selfless, that's like, wow, a proud moment. So to share with me, why don't we go backwards, Missy? What are some of your biggest frustrations, maybe fears?
Either or.
I would say my biggest fear is that my child would not love the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
That is my biggest fear. The other big fear is that they would pass away and that I wouldn't be able to see them grow up with Dirk going into the service. I know it's the Air Force,
Yes.
Steve, but still.
Yes. Is Dirk here today, Dirk Jr.?
Yeah,
He's in the back there.
Congratulations, man. I don't even know if we made that public or not, but thanks for saying that,
That's
Missy.
probably, those are my big fears, that they not know the Lord, they not know the love of the Lord, and that how much He loves them. So, anyway.
Good
Yeah.
stuff.
And you want to see them grow old because you want to kind of like give back.
Right.
All those
I want to
toddler
torture
fun
them
teen
in
years.
my old age like they tortured
That's right.
me.
Do you remember the one public speaker we heard? They had a lot of children, right? And he alluded to the fact of having so many kids because he knew that as he and his wife got older, there would be
At least one that would.
the opportunity
Take
for,
them in?
for like organs, like organ
Oh.
donating. I think body parts, I think is what they said, in case you needed a kidney or something. You
I
had,
just want one that would be willing to let me, stay with them when I'm old and maybe a little
Yeah,
forgetful.
that's the other
Yeah.
side of it, right? Somebody amen on that one, yeah.
Brandy, what are some of the challenges that you face or some of your fears?
My fears are not having the answers that Stormy has questions for, and not being able to provide for her, or Logan for that matter. But he's off doing his own thing, and I have to learn to let that go and let him do his own thing.
That's a
And
big challenge for moms.
This is hard. It's very hard.
Yeah.
But that and not being able to help her like with school, and for her to understand I was taught many years ago differently than what she's being taught now.
Yeah.
Right.
So I just can't say, hey, 5 + 5 is 10, because they got to do all that junk with
2
it,
pages
so.
of worksheets to figure out it's 10. That's right.
So-
But
Very
that's why
true.
it's so important to have that community around us that, we don't have to, as moms, know all the answers. And sometimes it's okay to say, I don't know, but let's figure this out together.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
It's good. Trish?
So isn't so much of a frustration, but maybe a not so proud moment that I want to touch upon. Being a young mother early on, I struggled with drug abuse and alcoholism, and I put my children in some not so safe situations, and not moments that I'm very proud of. So learning to forgive myself, and then back then I didn't have a relationship with the Lord. So when I did surrender and come to the Lord and started learning just to forgive myself for what I had done, the situations that I put them in, and and then I talked to my children about those moments and asked them for forgiveness. And like, it wasn't so bad, Mom, but we always think to ourselves, like, oh, you're really hard on ourselves, that we weren't good enough, or we failed our children. And that's where Jesus comes in, and he makes up that ground that's in the middle. And we just need to show ourselves a little grace as mothers, that sometimes we're going to have not so perfect moments, but I think in the end that his love, covers all.
Wow.
I'm glad you shared that, because mom guilt is a real thing. Whether it's something you did or didn't do, we judge ourselves on how bad it was and how big it was. And to your point, your kids may look back at that very thing that maybe riddled you with guilt, and they're like, Mom, I learned from it. It was, it helped me be a better person. Or, but we all struggle with mom guilt. Yeah. And forgiving ourselves. That's a huge one. Yeah. So Kate, how about you? What are some challenges or fears that you might have as a mom?
Mostly right now with how young they are, I fear them being taken advantage of. Just because they are so young and sweet and innocent, and I am afraid that someone will just put them in situations or make them feel like they have to do things they don't have to do. And that's something I struggle with every day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a huge one.
Wow, transparency is awesome, ladies. Thank
love
you.
it.
Yeah.
Harper, you are awfully sweet. Are
Today,
you always this good? The eyes. She's precious. Thank you for sharing.
yeah, thanks, ladies. We're going to dive a little bit deeper here, too, and give them an opportunity to respond to another question before Karen and I. This will lead Karen and I into a little bit of a story from the Old Testament. But so again, the ladies that are here today, just again, different backgrounds, different journeys to God. And so I'm interested myself too in what part of their life they're actually going to pick, or what topic they might pick to share on. But I sent them a question earlier this week, asking them to maybe take one time in your life where you just really needed to rely on God, and maybe how that turned out. How did that turn out? It was just one of those times in your life when you just really needed to rely on God. So a little vulnerability here, a little transparency, but yet, today, again, we wanted this to be an opportunity. The hope is to minister to everybody here today, whether you're a mom, whether you're whether you're married or not married, and the guys that are here too, there's something that we can draw as well, because I think, as several of them have shared, especially Kate, this last one, on just the wholesomeness and the goodness and the purity that we see in our children when they're little, man, that really resonates, I think, with all of us in this room, whether you're a mom or a dad. We don't want our children to lose that child innocence. And we know that to a certain point they do, because life happens. But isn't it beautiful when Jesus comes into their lives at this age? It's a beautiful thing, because he has a way of preserving that purity and that righteousness and that innocence. It's a beautiful thing, especially when we can live in a biblical way. through our lives. So, ladies, do tell, who wants to be first? Anybody like really ready to go on this one? A time in your life when you really needed to rely on God, and what that looked like, maybe what the outcome was. Maybe you're still waiting on Him for, relying on Him for that thing. So, who's first?
I will go for it. Young mom, when Liam was still in his first year or so, I think, I hit a point in my relationship where we weren't sure if we were going to make it. It just was. And I had to hand my family over.
Wow.
And just ask for the strength to get through. And it was, like I said, to hand over my family, because at that point it wasn't if, it was a when, of when it wasn't going to make it if I didn't. And years later, now that we also have Harper, and we have come so far, but I had to give it over. It wasn't my family.
Yeah. That's hard.
Yeah.
That's really hard. That's like a lot of the stories that we're going to share a little bit later, some of the women in the Bible that
Yes.
they just had to trust God.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I had to ask for the strength to wait.
Yeah. And if you're anything like me, there's anybody in this room that might be a slight control freak. I mean, comptroller, comptroller. I'm a comptroller. Yeah.
Did you say slight?
Slight.
Mother's Day.
But yeah, like I think as a mom too, like it's, it's your job to keep things in order and to keep things together, and then to let that go, and trust God is hard. It's huge.
Yeah, thanks
Yeah.
for sharing that too, Kate. Just really, you hear like for everybody and anybody and their mother and brother to hear today, right? Because this is live streaming as well. But I think every one of us on this stage and everyone here who's married would identify with the same journey. Maybe some seriously severe, depending on the situation, but all of us have walked that journey of feeling like, wow, this might be the end of the road, or this might be the end of the journey. And it is a beautiful thing, as for you, to now look back and to see the miracle progression of your beautiful family. And by the way, in case you don't know, this young lady right here is tied to the guy who plays the bass guitar, Dan.
Yeah. His other
All
beautiful
right,
half.
who else we got here? Who else is going to share? Come on.
All right, I guess it's me. So Dirk and I were married the week after I turned 21, and he was 24, 23, 24. And we knew that we were going to immediately start a family, and we did not have our first baby until I was 27. And we had lots of women in this church that prayed for us for many years to have that baby. And though it didn't happen quickly, it did eventually happen. And that time was very hard, emotionally, especially for myself. I don't really know how hard it was on Dirk because, I was too busy thinking about me. That was a pretty intense, rough time. And then when we finally did have our kids, we of course had help from the doctor, medications, and so forth. So when we did finally have David and Mackenzie, literally Dirk was only a year and a half old. So then we had David and Mackenzie, and then when David was 6 months old and he went through, he wasn't progressing like he should have. So then he had to start being seen at the Children's Hospital, and we had to, do physical therapy and all of these things with him. And that was also another hard time, you know, that I had to really rely on God for. And he went to therapy for about a year, and he's perfectly fine now, you know, mostly, right? He's 18, so, you know.
Mackenzie's face is priceless.
Right? So, but yeah, just relying on God through that time. Of course, there are a million times I could tell you about God coming through for us. But yeah, that was pretty hard, you know, miscarriages and all of those things that go along with infertility was rough. And God saw me through and has really blessed our family. So.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Missy. And there's others here too that would walk that journey with you that have that same testimony that that God is just good. Amen. Thanks for sharing that today. It's powerful. Okay, let's keep it in the back row and go over to Miss Brandy. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, ladies, just hold the microphone up. I don't know if you guys are getting any feedback from online, but just so that we can make sure everybody at home can hear you guys too. So just kind of hold that microphone up as you talk. Over to you.
I would have to say mine is from 2017 on, with my taxes, not having a car, figuring out having to go back to Texas for a hot minute and coming back and starting over, and realizing that it's not good to get rid of everything I own and just jump states. It's finally time to stay put.
Yeah.
So.
Good for you. And she's not going to tell you this, I don't think, are you? There's several of you ladies here. I'm looking for Ashton. Ashton, where are you sitting?
I think
honey?
she's in the nursery
Is
today.
she in the nursery today? Oh. There are just a handful of ladies here at our church that and Brandy's one of them, that I have just been in awe with. I told her when I was talking to her about sharing today that I'm such a fan, and Ashton was one of those too, because, you know, back 5.5 years ago, before Trent's in here somewhere though, right? Before Trent was in the picture, Ashton as well was single mom, and Brandy, single mom. And I tell you what I love, and please, I hope this is not offensive. I hope that you just hear my heart when I say this, and I mean publicly offensive. It's not to Brandy, but publicly, that there are many other avenues that this lady could take. But she has chosen as a single parent to work a full-time job and to do her very best, just like Ashton did too, to provide for her family without a husband, without a dad being in that home. That's commendable, sis. And we love you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah. We love you for that. Okay, that's not offensive, is it? Did I say that okay? You guys know what I'm talking about? I'm not trying to pick on anybody else's story that might be watching us, but when a single mom does it this way, that is really something that, to me, it stands out, and I'm a fan. Did you have anything else you wanted to say now that I just kind of opened up the whole can of your life? Nope. Trish, can we come over to you?
So the time that I needed to lean into God, it was 2 years ago in February. Jeremy and I were in Florida. We were getting ready to board an airplane, a flight of 3 hours. And I had missed a phone call from my stepdad. And then immediately my brother called me. And that we got word that my mother was taken to the hospital and that she was fighting for her life. And I had to get on that plane, not knowing her status, not having communication with anybody. And all I had was to sit there, and I had to pray and cry and just let go. And when we got off the plane, I was able to finally get contact with my family, and I found out that my mother didn't make it, that she'd taken her life. So I was left with many questions. I didn't understand why. I didn't know what had taken place. But it was my relationship with the Lord,
Yeah.
and it was leaning into Him, and it was getting into the Word and seeking His answers that He had for me. Not the answers that I was looking for, but the answers that He had for me that helped me get through the situation. And it was my church family, my Celebrate Recovery family, that walked that journey with me.
Thank the Lord, yeah.
And that supported me throughout that difficult time in my family's life. So I don't, without having a relationship with the Lord, I'd be in a very different place with that right now. And so Mother's Day sometimes isn't a happy day for me. And there's other mothers out there that it's just kind of hard
Thanks
to celebrate.
for sharing that. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Whether it's loss of your own mother or loss of a child. But like Danielle and I were able, we spent our afternoon yesterday graveside, just, celebrating her and the life that she did have. And she was the one that kind of brought me to the Lord. So I am forever grateful for that.
Wow.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Trish. And so, in just this little snippet this morning, you hear from Trish. She talked about her life of drug addiction in earlier years. And now she just shares about the loss of a mom who took her life. And now we should all know why this woman is so passionate about helping other women find recovery in their lives. We honor you today, Trish. Thank you. Really, I mean that from my heart. Thank you. It's not an easy road, and all of these moms, to think about it, each one could even dig deeper today of things that you guys have been so transparent, deeper into the things that they walk through. And I don't know, I wish somebody would kind of start some type of movement to where Mother's Day would be, more than one time a year, because moms really, yes, right? Moms really deserve honor, respect, appreciation, and care, really. It's not to say that dads don't, but, moms have a special role in the lives of the kids, and so thank you, ladies. We're going to ask for your help. I didn't miss anybody, did I? Because you probably wouldn't stop and say, hey, I didn't get to say my part yet. You would just let me go right on, wouldn't you? But we want to just take a few moments in the Word of God today. If you would go there, with us, we're going to be in just a little bit. We're going to be in 2 Samuel chapter 21, if you want to get a jump on that. And then the ladies here are going to help us out one last time after Karen and I kind of talk about a few things. But the Bible, incredible women, incredible moms are found in the Bible. And I had Karen and I just maybe pick out just some of our most favorite. Actually, I wrote this, so my favorite. And then at the fourth one we'll tell you about is my ultimate favorite. I know that I've preached an entire sermon on a Mother's Day here at this church on this one woman that we'll get to in a minute. But there are some beautiful, special moms, women of the Bible, and one of those would be...
So in 2 Kings, we learned about the woman from Shunem, and I thought it was really cool. She definitely was not like me. She had the gift of hospitality, like
you're
hands
hospitable.
down. No, I'm like, there's the fridge and the cups are over there. I'm not. You're the hospitable one. You make sure everything looks pretty. I don't.
That was a setup for her to say that about me.
Yeah.
You fell right into it.
Father's Day.
I am so
I'm
hospitable.
I know my gifts. That's not one of them. But you're all welcome to my house.
Hey,
but
I'm so hospitable. When I have guests over, I let Dirk cook on my grill. That's
You
how
do,
hospitable I am.
he's a good grill master. All right, and you can come grill for me today in the rain. That would be nice.
Right.
But there's a very wealthy woman mentioned in 2 Kings chapter 4 from Shunem, and she kind of took not a liking, that's not probably the right way to say it, but she honored the prophet that would come through town so often that eventually she talked to her husband and said, hey, let's just make a room for him in our house. So they actually built onto their house a special place that was just for the prophet. And she later, she didn't have a child, and later the prophet spoke over her and said she was going to have a child. And of course, she was older, and she's like, I don't know how this is going to happen. And sure enough, a year later, when he came back through, she had this baby. And we don't know exactly how old he was.
Years later, a few
but
years later.
Yeah, it was years later, because I think it said when he became a man, so I'm assuming that means teenage-ish age. And but he had been out in the field working with his father, and he became very sick, and he died. And I look at, like, I listen to your story, Missy. You talk about the health issues that, like, her gut response was, okay, I don't know, when we have emergencies in my family, I'm like, okay, everybody, this is what we're doing. And she just starts barking orders. And she put him in, she didn't lay him on her son's bed. She didn't lay him on her bed. She went to the prophet's room that was dedicated for the prophet. And did I lose my thingy? Hello? Okay. She laid him on the prophet's bed, shut the door, grabbed her servant, and ran to go find the prophet. Like, it was like, I'm not talking to anybody. I'm cutting in and out.
I'm going to switch mics. Thank you.
Okay. Can you turn this one off? So she just went immediately to find the prophet, and it was like she was not even going to allow herself to become fearful or anything. And the faith that she had, that if I can just get the prophet to come and pray for my son, it will be well. And she even ran into the servant of the prophet on the way. And maybe some of us might not have responded the same way. I might have been like, oh, my kid, because my kids mean, everything to me. And she didn't say a word to the servant. She just said, it's well. And then when she saw the prophet, he could tell. He didn't know what it was, but he could tell something was wrong. And he went, and sure enough, there was a miracle for her that was waiting. And just the amazing faith and confidence and strength that I saw in that woman was just really powerful.
That's where we get that old hymn, right? It is well. It is well with my soul.
There, but that goes with it.
Huh?
I don't know if it came from that one.
Wasn't that written from that story?
No, that was from the people that
the ship.
died on the ship.
Right. Okay. Anyway,
Wrong era.
nice try. Yep. Book of Ruth. You have a mother-in-law and her daughter-in-law, Naomi and Ruth, lost their husbands, headed to Naomi's homeland, so they're starting all over again. I love the story as it starts out because, Ruth didn't have to go with her mother-in-law. And her mother-in-law even tried to get her to stay put because, hey, I'm going back to my family, my home area. And there just was no way. Ruth was like, where you go, I will go. It's an incredible story of loyalty. And the result of that, to me, is incredible that Ruth is in the lineage of King David. So she's like the, great-great-great-great-great-grandmother of King David. But if you know where I'm going with this, she's also in the lineage of great-great-great-great continue of Jesus. Jesus is of the lineage of King David. King David traces all the way back to Ruth. So just an incredible story of loyalty and blessing through the lineage of this woman. So I think there's one more, and then we're going to get into that last one before we hear again back from the ladies.
The last woman that we want to share about, we're not told if she's a mom, but she's a woman. And this is Luke chapter 7, the woman that broke the alabaster box over Jesus. And I was telling Darren today.
His feet.
His feet, yeah, over his feet. Like she didn't break it on him. It just means she broke the seal. She opened up the jar. Yeah. Okay. So I was telling Darren, I said, like, you read the Bible story and you're like, wow, that's just really awkward. Like, because I can't imagine having somebody in my home and then just having this random person like crying over my guest's feet.
Oh, you mentioned this morning. This is pretty good. Listen to this.
I just thought it was really, nobody in the Bible, it doesn't say, and this was an awkward moment. It doesn't say that.
Yeah.
But, the Pharisee
She wasn't invited, right?
Yeah, she wasn't invited. The Pharisee, she was a known sinner, meaning she had a reputation. Like everybody knew who she was, not just her name, but what she did. She was a known sinner, but obviously she had come into contact with Jesus. You can just tell by reading through the story that she had come into contact with Jesus and understood his forgiveness and salvation. And so here she is
when she comes into this dinner party, and she can't control her, not emotions, like she wasn't emotional, just a hot mess, but just so overwhelmed with her gratitude that God could see who she was, because everybody else knew who she was, and there would never be any way for her to change how she was viewed by society. And like this is what hit me today, is that like society may brand you, society may say you're this, and somehow she was able to, I got to thinking about the only time that I've ever been able to forget about everybody all around me and not care about what anybody else thought, or because we're always, as women, maybe I'm the only one, but we're always worried about what people are going to think about us, right? The only time I ever remember blocking everybody out was on our wedding day. There was 200 people there?
A couple hundred, yeah.
And I don't remember anything. I just remember looking at him. I was terrified. I was scared to death. Lots of reasons. But being in front of people, and we sang to each other. And I remember blocking it out like nobody else was there. And I think that's the same resolve that she had.
I think so too.
She was so determined to give, breaking up the alabaster box was that was a very honorable thing. That was something you did to honor someone. She was like, I don't care what anybody thinks. I'm going in, I'm breaking up this house party, and I'm doing this because he sees me. He sees who I really am, not who society thinks. And it was ironic because Jesus then says to, I think his name is Simon the Pharisee, who's forgiven more? Who loves more? The one who's forgiven more. And that's who she was. She was the one who recognized how much God forgave her, and that's why she loved him so much. I just thought that was beautiful.
That is powerful women and moms of the Bible. For me, number one comes in 2 Samuel, Rizpah. King Saul broke a promise, an oath, to a nation of people called the Gibeonites. And David, now king, inherited King Saul's problem. And so the problem is with the Gibeonites. And so David wants to fix this relationship. And so he goes to the Gibeonites and he puts basically a blank check. And he says, what is it going to take for us, Israel, to be in right with you in relationship? And they filled out the check. And David gave them the blank check. And the check basically did say, we want the 7 sons of King Saul hung. That's how you will make things right for the oath that was broken with our nation. David, being a man of his word, kept his word. Blank check, he honored it. 7 sons were delivered. 7 sons were hung. Now there's a little woman by the name of Rizpah who happened to be the mother of 2 of those 7 sons. And this is what the story says. The story says, pick up we'll just read verse 10, 2 Samuel 21:10. Rizpah, daughter of Aiah, she took sackcloth, she spread it out for herself on a rock. From the beginning of the harvest till the rain poured down from the heavens on the bodies of those 7 men, she did not let the birds touch them by day or the wild animals by night. Again, I did a whole sermon several years ago here on this one story. And it's an incredible story of what a woman will do to fight for her family. And I'm going to set these moms up here to share on that last question is, how today do Christian moms fight for their families? But I want you to get this one little woman in mind, because Rizpah, the reason she went out to protect those bodies that were hung was because the law at that time said that the bodies would stay there. I'll just leave it at that. They'll stay there until. And David steps in on the scene after hearing what this woman, this mom was doing by the name of Rizpah, and intercedes, changes the law. Think about that for a moment. Changes the law these men were taken down, whatever condition they were in, we don't know at that time, not good, obviously, but took what was left, and they were all given, an honorable, matter of fact, I believe King Saul King Saul was dead at the time too, but an honorable burial took place. But the key to that is the changing of the law. Because do you remember Jesus died upon the cross? And what happened? He was taken down. Well, that law of that body being, his body being taken down, our cross is not up here. It was up here for a long time. But the cross, that law was actually rewritten and changed by King David. An act that was, I believe, this is how I read the history of it, that was made by Rizpah. And the law was changed when David interceded. As a mom who fought, two of the 7, but she fought. Can't you see her by night? I mean, whether she's waving a stick of fire or whatever she's doing at night to keep some of the land four-legged creatures away from, coyotes or wolves or whatever. And by day, birds, fowls by day, maybe taking her shawl and keeping the birds away from this was a full-time job for her. But she was doing whatever it took. To her, that was her loyalty. To her, that was honorable. And it moved the heart of King David, and so goes the story. So as powerful as that is, I just want to maybe get, as we close today, just some things from you moms. What are some things, what are some ways that today Christian moms can fight for their families? We all had time to think about this, so it's just a matter of who's first. Yeah, Missy and Trish looking at each other.
It is so hard because I've seen moms fight physically and verbally for their children.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, it's the mom that prays for her children that makes all the difference and shows them the love of Jesus in every situation. And oh my gosh, that is so hard sometimes because they're not always nice people, right? Yeah. You just love them, even when they're not lovable.
Yeah.
And show them Jesus, because that's how they know who Jesus is through you, right?
Amen. That's good. Let me mention, too, I wanted to just say that Missy represents a generational family. Her mom, Glenda and Dave, I don't know where you guys are sitting. I know you're here somewhere. There you are. And let me just ask, because I really don't know, but Glenda, are you first generation from your family, or did Dad and Mom serve the Lord while you were being raised? Okay, so you were second. So really, we have here 4 generations, but I just think it's incredible to have the 3 generations. We have Mackenzie up here, and we don't have their brothers up here with them. We just thought it'd be great to have the girls up here today with their moms, so that's kind of special. Yeah, maybe next month we have Dirk and the boys up here. Maybe we could do that. Yeah, Dirk loves public speaking like this, so he would be. Hey, I guess I just got my first one for Father's Day. Anyway, thanks for sharing that, Missy. And your family is very special and been in this church a long time, so we're thankful to have 3 generations of the Tharp family in this church. Trish?
I agree wholeheartedly with Missy. In so many situations, we are powerless over situations for our children. But prayer is the most effective way that we can fight for them, and just be present when they come to you seeking advice or in their time of need. Not try to control the situation, but just be present and love on them and pray for them.
That's awesome. And that makes me think, as she was sharing that, especially if you're a young mom here today, and you're kind of looking up here and you're thinking, oh, look at these ladies up here today. That's why Pastor must have asked them to be up there, because they're really, you know what? What you should be hearing and what they would tell you is that it's not easy. It's been a fight every step of the way. And all of them are saying the same thing, that they're discovering their strength through God. So, to the young moms, I just want to put a little promo here before we hear from Kate. I guess Kate's next. I just wanted to say something that we started this year is discipleship groups. Okay, along with our Celebrate Recovery, which has step studies, which that is incredible discipleship. But Karen has got a group of ladies, and I think she would still have room. Maybe I'm off here, but it might not be too late. I know Keith has been trying to work to get a group of men. But I'm just going to say, moms, young moms, if you're here and you're struggling, and Trish said something about, giving answers, the right answers, you need to be in some form of growth yourself. So if you're feeling like there's room in your life to learn more and to grow more so that you can field questions and give that godly guidance and direction, I encourage you after service today, go talk to Karen and say, I'd like to be in that discipleship group. They meet once a week, and you guys are growing. I know she talks about it all the time, so exciting. Kate, over to you, my dear, and then we got just one more after you.
To support and fight for your family. Today is a lot of trying to not let the world figure it out for them.
Yeah, come on.
And it's because the information and everything that they can learn and know is out there already, and that's so concerning.
Yes.
And so you have to fight unfortunately, maybe you're the first to get to them about something and talk to them about, and making sure they're learning maybe the correct things first, and
Yes.
and not letting the world tell them what they should be or what they need to be.
Absolutely. And even to have a Christian grandma and grandpa, I don't know what they get called. I always forget this stuff, but that's the beauty too, is to have your parents, right, who are saved, born again, spirit-filled people, to also speak into the lives of your kids. That's an awesome thing. Yeah, honey, you just make yourself comfortable up there. Brandy, want to bring this thing home for us? What's something you could say? How to fight as a Christian mom, fight for our kids today?
I am going to go along the lines with Kate, because I haven't always been in church, and I'm trying to start that over and make it to where Stormy don't follow my footsteps as when I was younger. Not that I did anything bad, but
Yeah,
it wasn't
sure you
good.
did. Let's be honest.
It
Sure you
wasn't
did.
good. No,
Yeah.
I was the good kid out of the four.
You were the good kid, okay.
So I just don't want her to live the life I did.
Yeah.
I know what my road has been, and I'm going to do my best to make hers not that way.
Can I share before you wrap it up?
Yeah, you sure can.
So this one thing I wanted to say was that being a mom, I think you would all agree, is we're not perfect. And we don't do anything perfect. And I think besides for prayer, which is kind of the obvious, one of the best ways you can fight for your kids is to be real and to say, I've made mistakes, and admit when we currently make mistakes. And it's not about being perfect, it's about being authentic. And I think I know myself, I certainly haven't done everything right, and I might get a loud amen from that far right corner. But it's about being authentic. It's about every day is a brand new day. It's a brand new day to get back up, pull up your bootstraps, or
Stay the course.
put up your big girl panties, is what I say in my house.
Did you just say that publicly?
I just said that right.
Okay.
And do the right thing. And every moment that we have, it's the grace and mercy of God that we have to always have that opportunity to start afresh. And God's grace and mercy is always there for us.
Yeah, so true. Hey, let's all stand together this morning, can we? Give these ladies and their daughters another I love ya. You guys can stay right here with me for a few more moments. And we're going to pray. Pray a closing prayer. I want to thank Michael and Carolyn, James, for putting a little. In my social media, I said, service, worship, going to hear from some moms, and lots of hugs and kisses. And this is true. We're having some hugs and kisses. So, Mom, we have a little bag of hugs and kisses for you to go home with a little card that just says, hey, we love you, we appreciate you. So I know we have a lot of these bags, Carolyn. Is there like enough to go at least 2 per mom? Can we do that, I think? I would say we have enough for, yes, 2 per mom would be fantastic. And maybe some of you moms want to take one to your mom if you're with family today, or take one to a sister. It's fine too. So we love you guys. Thank you. Moms, I'll just extend this to the ladies of the church. We love you. And I want to pray this, and I'm always careful about praying the spirit of. Some people have talked about, the spirit of David, which is a worshiper. I look at the Bible, and I don't know if that's the way to pray, but if I could pray today that the same spirit that Rizpah had would also be upon you as a mom today, for all of these things that you heard, and many of them still walking this journey of trying to maintain the innocence and the purity, to answer the difficult questions, and to make sure that her journey in life is maybe a little easier and better than what yours was, or maybe not making the same mistakes. And, Trish, who has been serving the Lord now for 6 years. Wow, transformation, incredible. But what is it you talked about? You talked about some guilt that moms have to deal with today. And so, she's working through each of them working through their journeys. Moms, you're doing the same today. You're working through your journey. Our prayer is that something that was said here today, you could identify with. Women, moms, and I know this. If you'd like special prayer today about something you're going through, you could see Trish, Missy, Kate, Brandy, Karen. Did I miss anybody? You could see any one of these 5 ladies to pray with you today. If something they said struck a chord in your heart and you just want prayer today, don't leave before getting that prayer. So Jesus, we thank you today for your goodness. Thank you for this service that we've had, the worship, and just your presence here today. Thank you for the women. Thank you for the moms. As Mother's Day today, God, I just want to pray that same tenacious fight for the family that we saw evident upon the life of Rizpah, whether we call that the spirit of Rizpah or the courageousness of Rizpah, I don't know. But Lord, I am just asking you today that your presence would come alongside every mom in this place of every age, but even more specifically those who still have children and teenagers that are school age. Because indeed, we are facing times that are different today than how any of us have ever seen. Those of us on this stage and those of us here, we're living in a different day. Our kids are going through their own circumstances. They're being faced and have an onslaught of things attacking them that's different than when I was a kid, and some of us others when we were kids. And so I pray today, God, that however our moms need to fight for their families, that you would help them to do so. I believe, God, that one person can change the destiny of somebody else. I know that Jesus, because of what Jesus did, if Jesus lives in me, Jesus lives in you as a mom. I know today that like Rizpah became that one who pushed the pen for the changing of law, I know that there is hope for every mom in this place today to make the difference in the lives of their kids. No matter how old their kids. We have moms in this room whose kids might not be serving the Lord, and their kids are 50 years old. We can always make a difference in the lives of our children. And so I pray for every mom. We honor you today. We love you today. We appreciate you today. And God, I'm just asking that you would invoke blessing upon each of their lives In Jesus' precious name I pray. And everybody can say, amen. Amen. Come on, let's give the Lord some praise today. Hallelujah.